Hello and welcome to Larissa's Kitchen. Today I'm making blueberry shortcakes. Now, like their strawberry shortcake counterpart, they have a biscuit base, a fruit filling, and a cream top. But unlike the strawberry shortcakes, they don't resemble them at all. We'll be making our biscuits from scratch, we'll be cooking our fruit filling, and the top is a delicious lemon cream. We're starting with the fruit filling first, but I do have the oven preheating to 400 degrees because we're going to move directly into the biscuits as soon as the fruit filling is done. For that, we're going to need 3 cups of blueberries. These are frozen and I've got them divided 1½ cups and 1½ cups. We're also going to need 1/2 cup of sugar, 1/4 cup of water, and 1 tablespoon of fresh squeezed lemon juice. We're going to take this all over to the stove and start cooking it in the pan. I've got my saucepan on over medium-high heat. I've got 1½ cups of the blueberries in here, all the sugar, the water, and the lemon juice. We're going to cook this until it's thick and bubbly, and then we're going to add the other 1½ cup of blueberries off heat. If we were to put all the blueberries in the pan at once, this would cook and resemble jelly. There would be no identifiable blueberries. This has been simmering for about 4 or 5 minutes, so this is ready to go. We're going to turn this off, and we'll add in the frozen blueberries. We're just going to mix this to combine. Next, we're moving on to the biscuits. We'll need 2 cups of all-purpose flour, or if you can get it, 2 cups of white lily flour. This has about half the gluten of all-purpose flour, and it'll make these biscuits very tender. This is also not the self-rising flour, just get the plain. We'll also need a tablespoon of baking powder, that's aluminum free, 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda, and 1 teaspoon of kosher salt. We're going to put these in the mortar and pestle because we want the salt very fine. We want to grind this salt very fine, and if we use a little bit of baking powder with it, it'll keep the salt from sticking to the mortar and pestle. The last 2 things we're going to need are 6 tablespoons of very cold butter and 1 cup of buttermilk. Now, I left this in the refrigerator before because it does need to stay cold. We're going to mix our dry ingredients together, and then we're going to cut in the butter just like you would for a pastry crust. Okay, these butter pieces are pea-sized, so we're about ready to add in the buttermilk. This is going to be very wet. Okay, and then just stir this to combine. I've got a very small jelly roll pan that I've covered with nonstick aluminum foil. The matte side is the nonstick side. This is what I'm going to be baking my biscuits on. Now, the key to baking biscuits, light and fluffy, is to barely work them. So we're going to fold them 5 or 6 times to get the layers, and then I'm not even going to cut them out and re-roll. I'm actually just going to cut them into squares with a rotary cutter. That way, everyone is the first cut biscuit. Okay, so I've got quite a bit of the white lily flour down here. I'm just going to dump these out onto the floured surface. Then I'm going to shape this flat and then fold it. And you can see it's sticky. There's 1 fold, 2, 3, 4, okay, 5. That looks good. I don't want to work this too much. So now I'm going to go ahead and just press it flat into a roughly 10 by 4 inch rectangle. And then I'm going to cut these into 2-inch squares. Okay, we're just going to transfer these to the pan, and we're going to set them about an inch apart. If we put them too close together, they'll cook together. If we put them too far apart, the edges will get a little too done. These are going in that 400-degree oven for 20 minutes. While the biscuits are baking, we can get our Chantilly cream together. For that, we're going to need 1/2 cup of heavy whipping cream, 2 tablespoons of powdered sugar, a 1/2 cup of sour cream, and 1 tablespoon of grated lemon zest. We'll whip the sugar and cream together until it forms stiff peaks, and then fold in the sour cream and the zest. This is going back in the refrigerator until we're ready to use it. I checked these at about 17 minutes and they're done. It's time to put these together. I took the top off this biscuit and went ahead and put the bottom in here. Now we're going to ladle on some blueberries. Okay, and put the top back on. Now we're just going to ladle just a couple more blueberries over the top along with just a little bit of this juice. Okay, and then just a dollop of the Chantilly cream. And then we'll garnish this with just a few strands of lemon zest. Time to give these blueberry shortcakes a taste. I know this is delicious.